Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Caregiver Coffee, sponsored by the Council on Aging in St. Tammany, or COAST. My name is Matt Estrad, and I'm a gerontologist in the greater New Orleans area, and I help out with these Caregiver Coffees every Monday at 12 o'clock noon Central. I hope that you will go back and see the previous 4 episodes that we had in the month of June of 2020. This will be our first one for July. This is episode 5 of Caregiver Coffee. And today we're going to talk about the impact of spirituality and religion when someone is going through dementia. And while the studies that I reference are going to be in particular in the context of Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, I would say that these are important, that these two topics, or this full topic, is important to those with any kind of chronic illness. And I gave a talk in 2019 to about 200 caregivers on this topic. It was 55 minutes long, and I'll be happy to share that with you. If you shoot me an email, I'll send you the recording of that audio. Since we only have 10 or so minutes right now, I'm going to hit some of the highlights. Now, it's important to know that while the topic is religion and spirituality, I'm not going to be talking about any particular faith. I'm not going to be talking about my faith. If you have questions about, my sort of the work I do in religion and spirituality with dementia, you can contact me at matt@carepartnermentoring.com. So let's get into it. Now, all the research, I'm going to point to some evidence that can be found in scientific journals, and these are studies that included many religions, or at least the major religions: Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, sometimes Islam. And this is just what is available in the last 20 years or so. I want to start off with and certainly, like I said before, this is a 55-minute talk, and I'm going to try to give you some highlights in the 10 minutes and present some of the scientific evidence, really just so that you could look at the evidence and consider the idea of bringing in religion and or spirituality if you or your loved one, if this is something that you have practiced and is something that you think that would be beneficial. So this is a quote from Professor John Stuckey, who has done years and years of research in this area, and this is a quote from him: "Religion and spirituality and the conversations to which these topics give rise must not be ignored when working with families who are either caring for a family member with dementia or simply dealing with the everyday challenges and opportunities that life encompasses. Talking about religious and spiritual matters, even among the non-religious, can help bring hope and meaning to what might otherwise be abject sadness and despair." And that's from John Stuckey, PhD, in 2003. He said that. So I'm going to go to some of the evidence, and I'll get through as much as I can. This is from a 2016 study called "The Experience of Spirituality from the Perspective of People Living with Dementia: A Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis." And any of these, I can also send you the PowerPoint that has the references and whatnot for all these. So it found that, number one, that hope, it found 3 things. So we talked about hope. Spirituality was a coping mechanism for persons living with dementia, especially for those whom it was part of their whole life course. So looking back on their whole life, religion was a part of that, because it offers hope, comfort, and familiarity. Next is looking at, is in that same article, talked about religion, spirituality, allowing people to stay connected. So it brings people from withdrawal to connectiveness. You can utilize the roles that people had previously in their congregation, in their parish, in their temple, etc. And then adapt how they practice their faith to something that they can do now. It also talked about the benefits of practicing the actual practice of it, and we're talking about reading scriptures is helpful, or having them read to someone living with dementia. And they talk about organized religious activities and non-organized. So not organized religious activities could be any kind of services for that particular faith that you're thinking of. And then non-organized religious activities could be getting together, or just prayer, personal prayer within a small group, or with personally with just that loved one who has dementia. And many times they might be able to pray for themselves, but it might be something that you take them through. And I've seen and heard stories from many care partners that their loved ones still remember the prayers that were part of their life through their life course, and they bring comfort. So as we're doing this, as always, I welcome you to ask any questions in the comment section. If you're liking this so far, you can hit the thumbs up and like it, or have some kind of reaction to it. If you have a question or comment, I'd be happy to see those. In the future, if there are topics or questions that you would like me to cover, you can send me an email at the address that you see there, and that's matt@carepartnermentoring.com. All right, so going through some more of the evidence. For some individuals, the idea of being spiritual but not religious is a matter of finding personal fulfillment and aspects of human life in which they cannot, which they connect at an intangible emotional level that is both satisfying and meaningful. The worlds of art and music, the wonders of nature, holiday celebrations, and the bonds of social relationships are examples of expressions of spirituality that eclectically draw meaning, such as peace, wonder, joy, or love, from many different sources. And that's from a 2011 article. And then I have some evidence that involves the care partners, or the caregivers of those who are living with dementia. This is a study from, let's see, I don't see the year, but this is Dr. Nagpal and colleagues. They showed that, or they found that in their study, high religiosity of the care partner was associated with a higher self-reported quality of life for the person living with dementia. And they didn't, in that article, they didn't know why, but they thought that perhaps if the care partner is religious and continues their religious practices, that they are able to find meaning in the caregiver role and able to properly place perspective on the burden that they might have, that the work that they might have, and in seeing their in any possible suffering that they have, that they see in loving someone who has dementia. In a study by Dr. Wilkes, who's actually at Louisiana State University still in their School of Social Work, he found in a study, the title of this is Private Prayer Amongst Alzheimer's Caregivers, Mediating Burden and Resiliency. And in this article, he and the authors found that prayer decreased burden and increased feelings of perceived resiliency. And resiliency is that feeling that that confidence, that power, that you have the ability to withstand trials and burdens. So that resiliency, that bounce back power, that bounce back ability and feeling is very important, and it's showing that prayer decreased burden and increased the perceived resiliency. And also in the article, this is a quote, suggests that prayer is a successful coping mechanism, and it's a protective factor of resiliency, as we just mentioned. This is an article by Dr. Spurlock, who is at Southern University in Baton Rouge. So this is our second professor from the state of Louisiana. The title of the article is Spiritual Well-Being and Caregiver Burden in Alzheimer's Caregivers. And in this, a couple of the highlights: care partners who had higher mean scores of spiritual well-being, okay, so higher scores of spiritual well-being, demonstrated having lower perceived burden, and said that spirituality may be a coping mechanism. In the article, it's a call for nurses to assess the spirituality of care partners. And Dr. Spurlock is a professor of nursing, and so that's what we found this in a nursing journal. And I think this is really important because, and I've said this on previous caregiver coffees, that providers, practitioners, clinicians, nurses, doctors, etc., Many times they steer clear of the idea of religion and spirituality, probably because they don't want to offend anybody. But really, it's part of this this domain. It's of physical, emotional, social, financial, legal. So we have all these different domains that are involved in caregiving and care partnering. And when we avoid religion and spirituality, it really there could be a cost, because it's part of many people's lives, whether it's a religion or it's a spirituality or spiritual feeling. So this is a call for nurses to assess the spirituality. Just asking that question, do you practice a religion, or are you spiritual? If they say yes, then you can explore that further, and if not, then you're really not something. It's not something that you have to pursue. It's probably something that you should not. But when you're encouraged and you get clues as to that's important for the care partner and the person living with dementia, where it's really a duty to explore that. And this article finally encourages a team approach that includes clergy, nurses, social services, as well as others that are in this realm of care. Let's see, the last article I think I have time for is this article, the moderating effect of religiosity on caregiving burden and depressive symptoms in caregivers of patients with dementia. They found that caregivers with high organized religious activity, non-organized religious activity, or intrinsic religiosity, they have less perceived caregiver burden compared to those who are low in these areas of organized or non-organized religiosity. So just like the previous articles, this is affirming and backing up some of the things that I've said earlier about the previous studies. So I think it's really important to do that. And then actually I'm going to add this one. This is by Dr. Stuckey, Professor Stuckey. We started off this Caregiver Coffee with a quote by him. This is called Faith, Aging, and Dementia, Experiences of Christian, Jewish, and Non-Religious Spousal Caregivers and Older Adults. And this is a quote: "Even among the nuns," that's N-O-N-E-S, "even among the nuns, such as atheists and agnostics, those who don't believe in God or they don't know what to believe, there was a sense that finding meaning and purpose need not be linked to a particular religion or spiritual expression." So that is important to keep in mind, and speaks to the spirituality that many people also feel. So in this talk, and I will close with this here, that this is really, so now that you know about the research evidence, weigh that with your personal feelings, of course, but please know that religion and spirituality is part of what makes us human. And for many people, and you see what the evidence presents, for many people it makes an impact, a positive impact, of those who are living with dementia. And like I said before, even those who are not experiencing dementia, such as the care partners or someone that might be going through another difficult time or chronic condition, it's important to at least be open to that. Whether you're a practitioner or clinician watching this, whether you're a care partner, whether you're someone who's living with dementia, I hope that you will share this, so that they have an opportunity to consider the evidence and to consider this idea of letting this be opening up this domain for loved ones, so that they may heal in their way. Again, my email address is on the screen here, matt@carepartnermentoring.com. I'll be happy to hear your comments, questions, future topics. If you're interested in the almost hour-long talk that I have on this topic, or the PowerPoint slides, the PDF, just let me know. I'll be happy to send that over to you. Until next Monday, this is Matt Estrad, gerontologist, having Caregiver Coffee with you and enjoying this moment. So please make it a great week, and I hope to see you next Monday. Take care, and bye.